Hello my crafty friends and my fellow miniaturists. Today I'm going to attempt to do a video to show you how to make these tiny biscuits. I'm going to put a link in the description box which will show you where I got them from. They're from a lady called Agnes Horvath in the UK, and her company is called the PAC-PEN. These are called the M Boss series, and I've stolen some of her ideas to get me started with them, but they are absolutely lovely. The problem is with them is they're very difficult to film because they're so tiny, but hopefully we'll get on with it all right, and you'll be able to make some biscuits like these if you order the cutters from Agnes at PAC-PEN. She also has a Facebook page which I'll put a link into as well. I also have done the packaging here to go specifically with her biscuits, so it may be a little bit tricky to film, but hopefully we will be able to get that done. I'll put a link to the how to make the packages as well in the bottom. There's another video that I did yesterday for that, and also I've done some plates. These are Emma Bridgewater style plates, and I'll put a link where you can get the these are waterslide decals which I've put onto just handmade plates. I'll show you some with the biscuits on, and I will link those as well in to my Google Drive, and then you can download those for free if you want to use them on your plates. So this is one of the plates with the this camera is driving me nuts today. So this is one of the plates that I've done with the actual biscuits on them. So it may be a bit hit and miss, but we'll give it a go. So I will see you in a minute when I've got my things together. Hi, welcome back. Now I'm going to start by showing you just how tiny these biscuits are. I'm going to say a quick word about scale. Now these biscuits are 1/12 scale, and I have the actual biscuits which I've measured them against, and they are true to scale, which brings me on to another point, which is that I realised after making these, or while I was making these, that my scale is probably a little bit off. I think this is quite common with miniature makers, because making things true to scale is hard, and because they're so small. So I think my gradually, and I'm sure other people are guilty of this, I've crept up a bit. So when you get these cutters, they're small, and I want you to realise they're small before you order them, because it's quite important to realise. I'm going to show you them on so this is, I'll just measure it actually, I think it's a 1 centimetre, no it's not, okay, so it's 1.8 centimetres, and this is, I'm going to put it in front of the camera. So this is, that's my very fat finger, but this is there we go, a 1.8 centimetre plate with biscuits on. So the biscuits themselves are, I'm going to put the ruler next to it so that you can also see, it'll have to be upside down. So they are true to scale. They're about 1/2 centimetre for a digestive and smaller for the other ones. But if you're anything like me and you've had a little bit of creepage in your life, that they do seem quite small. Right, so the other point I'm going to make is my eyesight's not great, so I can't actually read much of what's written on there. It's much easier on a camera, but I can't read the bourbons without, well, I can't read them even with my magnifying glass, but I still love them. because they are fabulous. Right, I'm going to zoom out a little bit and show you how I actually made them now, because I made quite a few things. Excuse the wobbly camera. Right, now on to how to make these little beauties. So clay, I'm going to start off by saying this, I've used a variety of different clays, just basically what I had to hand. These cutters, let me put it in front of you, have a cutting system and an embossing system. So I'm going to show you first how I did the digestives. I've got some just there. Now the clay that I've used for this is some Cernit mixed with, I've used some granules in this to make it look more biscuit-like, because I think, you know, with digestives, they have little bits of grain in them. I'll just show you exactly what I mean by that. This is something I've made in my coffee grinder. Let me just show you in the box. So this is actually a mix that I sometimes use for cake, and it's made by grinding up. So I make like a cake or a biscuit, and there's always offcuts, using the method where you mix a little bit of clay, some water, it goes a bit sticky, and then you put baking powder in it, and then you cook it. So it comes out like a cake with, there's plenty of things on how to do it on the line. I love saying on the line. I'll show you, this is a bread that I made, for example, using this method, and the bread, you can see, has holes in it, like that. So when you do a cake, it's a different colour, obviously. You'll have some offcuts. You just grind them up, and then you mix them together into your clay, and then you'll get this sort of granulated look. I think you can buy clays with grains in them as well, but don't quote me on that. Right, I'm going to put a little bit of this down and just show you how I use the cutters. I'm going to have to zoom right in so that you can see. This is talc, but you can use, what's the other thing? Corn flour or cornstarch if you're an American. Did you like my little American accent there? So you can dip it in and use it. I have a cautionary tale to tell you about dipping it into that. I dipped it in and then it got stuck in the clay, and because of that I then went to clean one of my cutters. So I'm going to show you what happens if you're too rough with your, oh there it is, if you're too rough with your cutters, and she does tell you this on the website, do not clean them with a needle. Because what's happened to this one, this is the Marie biscuit one, is that 3 of the letters have come off. I'm not actually sure you can see that, but basically she advises that when you clean your cutters, you clean them with, let me put this here, oh you can't see it at all, can you? Right, so you clean it with one of these dental brushes, and you do it very, very gently. So I'll just show you how you're supposed to clean them. So do not, repeat that, do not use a needle, otherwise you're going to end up with bits missing. Right, on to actually making the biscuits. While I'm here, I'll just confess that I did turn the video off because it got really hot the other day, and so I've come back on a cooler day to finish off this job. Also my clay was not playing the happy game. So how to use the cutters. As I said, you could use to dip them in some cornstarch or some talc. I use baby powder, but for me, I found it easier to actually dip them in a bit of water, which is probably not something that I do often, but it does help to give a little bit of a crisper image. So I'll show you how I do it, and then you can decide how you want to do it. On the website she does advise that you you press it in and cut it. So I'm going to show you that bit. As I said before, it is quite difficult to show you on a video camera, but I'll try. So you press the, you put your, maybe I'll just put this down first and show you. So you put the cutter down and press down to cut, like you would do with any other cutter. And then you have this bit which has a little notch in it, and the notch lines up with the notch on there. So this is the digestive biscuit one, and I've dipped it in a little bit of water, which I've then taken the excess off, so it is literally just a little bit damp. Then I'm going to insert into the cutter, and down it goes. So once it's down, you can then give it a press, and firm but not overly forceful. Press down. Now she then says, Agnes, to take the cutter off and pop out the bottom, push out the clay. But I have found, for me, it works better if I hold on to it and just bring up the cutter. So the cutter's come up, and then I'm leaving it down on the clay like that. Now I'm just going to zoom in so you can see what I've done. There we go, it's my lovely zoom. So there we go, I've got the upside down label, digestive it says, but it's upside down. So then when I've done that, what I do is I then peel off the clay, wet hand, excuse me, peel off the clay, and then the biscuit is actually stuck to my board, which I use to put in the oven to cook the clay. So I'll just show you a couple of other things that I've made with these. So I made some plates, as you can see, which are embossed with the shapes of the biscuits. So it was really simple. I got this lovely cutter, the shape cutter, from the same lady, Agnes. God, I hope I'm saying her name right. She's going to be really upset if I didn't. Sorry if I didn't get your name right. Anyway, so I got this cutter from her as well, because I just love the shape for the plates. So for plates, I'm using this is just normal white with a bit of translucent in it, and I have been doing, I'll show you that in a minute, how to make the plate with the plate cutter, because I've got I'll show you that in a minute. So the other things that I've done as well, which I will talk to you about, is the Jammy Dodger biscuits, okay, are can't even pick them up. Let me move. It's gone. I've lost the Jammy Dodger. Okay, here's another Jammy Dodger. So the Jammy Dodger biscuits, I've put the tiny little red bit in the middle. Some of them you can paint if you want to, or you can use dry pastels on afterwards. What I did with these Jammy Dodgers is actually put a tiny bit of clay in them to get the red, and the same with the jam rings. Where are we? The jam rings. Let me just see if I can zoom on my jam rings. There we go. They're still, you can't really see because they are so tiny. Filming this is not easy, can I just say that? Right, let's put those back. Now I'm going to zoom out. I'll just show you these bits while we're down here. These are, I copied these, blatant copy of the lady Agnes from the PAC-PENs. She made these from just putting biscuits and boxes. And to make these boxes, if you're going to make them, they're just lovely, aren't they? I mean, boxes they're really biscuit barrels, aren't they? But they just look lovely. I mean, I saw these and had to have them. I'm quite honest. And the other things that I've made to go on top of them, I'm not sure you can see. I've done the Pink Panther biscuits, pink wafers that we all had when we were children in the 70s, and obviously some chocolate fingers and some chocolate digestives. The chocolate digestives, my top tip is when you, so you cut out just your circle and then put a little bit of brown on top to make a digestive. And then this is my friend. This is a seashell, but it has the most fabulous ridges on it. And you press the ridges and they look like ripples in chocolate. So get yourself a seashell. My husband thinks I'm nuts. We go to the beach and I walk along going, oh, that's a nice shell. I'll use that for my clay. So these are really good. Look for textures. So the other bit I was going to show you is, so all these packets that are here that go with the Biscuits collection, I will link to my Etsy page, which has all the biscuit packet sizes. Sorry, not the sizes. The sizes will match the biscuits that you're making here. And I've designed these packets to be printed out. There's a full A4 sheet with lots of biscuits, a little bit of tea, mini rolls, all the things you remember from being a teenager in the 70s, 80s. I think it was the 80s, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to zoom you back out now so that I can show you the how to do. Let's just move this out of the way. Saves moving you around too much. Not really enjoying playing with this camera, but there we go. So I'm going to put this over here. This is my very tiny craft area. I mean, it couldn't, I have to have everything on hand, so I kind of cram myself into a corner. Anyway, so to do the plates, you use this lovely cutter. I've done this on about a 5 on the pasta machine, and I'll just give that a squish out like that. Pop it out with the cutter, and then I got these from Temu. Temu is one of my favourite places for all those who don't already know, and I really like these. They've just got a very slight shape to them, so you can make your, let me bring it up, make your plate, and then you can give it just a little tiny bit, press it in there, there we go, and press it in, and it gives it just enough curve to look like a natural plate. Let me show you this, because plates, look, I know, I don't care what people say, plates are hard. I find plates hard, let me just say that. So that's another one that I've done. I've given it a blue back, and then all you do to make the plates have the embossing thing is you take the embossing part out of the cutter, and then you just start working your way around, putting your design, which you now can't see because I've moved it out of the way, putting your design onto the plate like that. So I might need to zoom in again a bit for that. So that's a bourbon on there that I've just done. Let me zoom you in. There we go. So that's your bourbon embossed in there. And then afterwards, what I've done is I painted the biscuits so that you can you know, distinguish what biscuits they are. And I used, for some of them, I used everything basically. I've used acrylic paints, I've used soft pastels, and I've also used, which I quite like, but they're a lot denser. Look at this one, I'll show you this one. Oh, where are you? So this one I coloured, it's quite more of a darker sort of shade of colours, I would say, and more of a dense paint. But I'll just show you these. I got these from Temu, which is my other favourite place to buy things from. Hang on, I'm going over here. So I got these. I have to definitely zoom out to show you these, but these are, there we go, acrylic dual tip markers. The brand I've used is Guangda. Did I say that right? That's my Chinese accent. I thought I did it quite well actually. And these are really quite nice for painting all sorts of things when you're using clay. I've got quite a collection of them now, and I quite like them. I also use acrylic, not acrylic, what's the other word I'm looking for? Alcohol markers, which I had some from Stamping Up, which I used to use in the old days. There was one other thing I think I was going to show you was, where is it? Oh yes, so if you want to make these really cute biscuit boxes, I'm gonna have to zoom in again now, aren't I? In and out, hang on. Right, if you want to make one of these really cute biscuit boxes, the way I designed it to start with is to put it down there, is to make a box shape. Don't do the lid. This is the lid comes separate, but make yourself a shape like this, the size that you want, and then make a mold. This doesn't have to be, this can just be a square, all right, but I've rounded it off, and you know, I've made it quite nice so it looks nice. So bake that in your clay oven and then make yourself a mold. So this will fit in here lovely like that. So you make a mold, which I got this from Team U2. It's not my favourite moulding putty, but it's reasonable, it does the job. But over in Australia it gets very sweaty, the putty, I don't know why. Anyway, so I've made a mould, so you put the mould around your shape, and then when you come to make a new one, you put some clay inside. I'll show you with a bit of this. So you roll up your clay. My clay seems to be a bit dry at the minute, but anyway, roll up your clay and you put it into your mould. There's the mould with the clay in, and then it takes a little bit of time, but you get a ball tool. There's a ball tool, and you just work it in there until you've made a nice edge, and then you cook it in the oven. It doesn't matter, let me say this, it doesn't matter if you've got bits over the edge, because you can then trim it when it comes out. So make sure you cook it properly in your oven to whichever temperature and time that your clay suggests. And then when it comes out, if there's bits on the top, you can trim them off. And then I painted this with acrylic markers and then varnished it. I know that probably most people that are going to be watching this are quite au fait with their clay, but if you are new, you need to use a proper clay varnish for at the end, otherwise your pieces will go sticky after a while. So that was how I made that one, and I do really love it. This particular one, sorry, I actually used a glaze, which is supposed to be a faux pottery glaze, and I was really pleased. So you use a transparent liquid clay and put a bit of ink or some acrylic paint in it, and then you paint it on and you bake it in the oven. And I was really pleased the other day. My son came in and went, oh, I said, look at my new stuff, as you do, and he said, oh, that looks like it's made of pottery. I'm like, oh, right answer, fantastic. So yeah, these are really lovely. I can't stop making them actually, and the plates, I'm a little bit addicted. Anyway, I think I've covered everything. I will put links to things that I've used or other things that I think you might find useful in the oh sorry, I've given you nothing to look at. There we go, have a look. Oh no, there you go, have a look at that. That's much more interesting than looking at a blank piece of whatever. So my top tips for using these are: be aware that they are true to scale, and that may be smaller than you're used to. Oh, I found the one that I lost a minute ago. There he is. Also, well, they're quite addictive to make, and play with them a lot first. Like I say, it's taken me quite a long time to get to a stage that that I'm happy with how they are looking. They're not a beginner piece, let's say that. They are not for beginners, because you do need to, you know, have some knowledge behind you about how you're going to use them and how they're going to work. But they are really lots of fun, so I hope you enjoy them. So go and have a look at the PAC-PEN.com, and I think it might be .com, I can't remember. I'll put the link in. All right, lovelies, I'm going to go and sit under the air conditioner for a bit because it's really very hot, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.